Hey everyone, and welcome. So if you're learning Spanish, I'm willing to bet you've hit this exact wall. Two verbs, haber and tener, that both seem to mean to have. It's one of the most common stumbling blocks out there. But don't worry, today we're going to finally untangle this thing for good. Let's get into it. All right, so you've got these two verbs, tener and haber. And if you're coming from English, this is just weird, right? We use our one verb to have for a whole bunch of different jobs. But in Spanish, those jobs are split between two totally separate verbs, and figuring out which one to use is absolutely crucial.
So yeah, this is the big one. If they both kind of translate to have, then why on earth are there two of them? It can feel totally random and arbitrary, but I promise you, there is a logic to it. A really cool one, actually.
Okay, so let's start with the simplest, most fundamental distinction. If you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, please make it this. This is the golden rule, the foundation that everything else is built on. So here's the deal. Tener is all about possession, literally owning or holding something. When you say tengo un lápiz, it means I have a pencil, I possess it. Haber, on the other hand, is a helper verb, what linguists call an auxiliary verb. It's a team player. It pairs up with another verb to talk about completed actions. Think about it. In he hablado, I have spoken, you don't own the speaking, right? It's just something that happened. It's an action that's done. And you can see right here, they don't just act different, they are different. Just look at how they're conjugated. Tener gives you tengo, tienes, tiene. Haber gives you has, a. They look nothing alike because, well, they're not alike at all. You gotta learn them as two completely separate verbs.
All right, so that's the golden rule, possession versus a helper verb. But, language is never that simple, is it? So let's look at some of the other common uses that tend to trip people up.
Tener is a real workhorse. That idea of possession gets stretched to cover more abstract things. You can have friends, you can have an obligation. That's where we get the super common phrase tener que, meaning to have to do something. You even have your age. Mario tiene 4 años literally means Mario has 4 years. And then there's this whole universe of idioms where you have things like hunger or hurry, or you can even have reason, tener razón, which means to be right.
Now let's flip over to haber. We know its main gig is being a helper verb. Hemos comido, we have eaten. But its other huge role is to talk about existence. That unique form, hay, means there is or there are. And notice, it's totally impersonal. It's not about who has the chair. The chair just is. It exists. This idea carries over into obligation with hay que, which means one must, or it's necessary to do something. And you'll sometimes see a more formal version, haber de, to express obligation to.
Okay, now this is where it gets really cool. There are times when you can actually use either verb, but the meaning changes in this very subtle but very powerful way. Let's look at an example that really shows off their unique personalities.
Check out these two sentences. When you say lo he preparado, you're really just saying, hey, the action of preparing, it's done. Check. The focus is all on the completion of the event. But when you say lo tengo preparado, it's different. It's like, I have the prepared thing in my possession now, it's ready to go. So you see the difference? Haber is all about the event, the action itself. Tener is about the state, the result that you now hold. Okay, so why? Why does Spanish have this incredibly nuanced split? To get the real answer, we can't just look at Spanish today. We have to put on our detective hats and do a little time traveling, deep into the history of the language. Yeah, the real clues are buried deep in the DNA of these words. It's in their etymology, their family history, that the confusion suddenly evaporates and everything starts to make perfect sense.
Okay, before we get to the big bombshell, there's one term we need to know. False cognates. Think of them like trickster words. They look alike, they sound alike across different languages, and you just assume they're related, but they're not. They come from completely different families. And as you've probably guessed, that's exactly what's going on here.
All right, let's head back to ancient Rome. Spanish gets its verb tener from the Latin verb tenere, which meant to hold or to possess. No surprise there, right? Makes perfect sense. And Spanish gets haber from the Latin habere, which meant to have. Seems pretty simple so far, right? Well, this is where the plot thickens. Okay, are you ready for this? Because this is the part that blows everyone's mind. The English verb have and the Spanish verb haber are not related at all. They are false cognates. Our English have comes from an ancient root that means to grasp, which makes it a distant cousin of the Latin word capere, meaning to seize. But Spanish haber? Oh, it comes from a completely different ancient root,
one that means to give or receive. And its true English cousin, its actual long-lost relative, is the verb to give.
Just let that sink in for a second. Haber is related to give, and suddenly everything just clicks into place, doesn't it? Haber isn't about owning or possessing something. It's about an event being given to you in time. He comido is like saying the event of eating has been given. Hay una silla is like existence is given to a chair. It fundamentally changes how you look at the verb.
So now that we've unlocked that ancient secret, let's kind of toss out the old, confusing way of thinking and build a new framework that actually makes sense, one that's based on the true meaning of these words.
So, here's your new mental cheat sheet. On one side, you've got tener. Just think holding and owning. This is your go-to for possession, for personal obligations, for states like being a certain age or being in a hurry. Then on the other side, you've got haber. Think existence and events. This is for helping other verbs, for stating that something exists, and for talking about impersonal things that just happen.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's that grammar isn't just a bunch of boring, random rules you have to memorize. It's like a fossil record of how people think and see the world. When you understand the story behind the rules, the why, it stops being a chore and becomes this fascinating puzzle. And it gives you a logic that's way easier to remember than just a long list of rules. So I'll leave you with this. How does knowing the why behind the rules change how you're going to tackle your next learning challenge?